company called me average, so I became average. So this isn't malicious compliance in the exact sense of the word, but pretty much the same effect. 26 meters. Started my first job after college 3.5 years ago. I was hired with a group of 25 people. I used to run a lot of clubs in college and had this I need to finish my job as best as I possibly can attitude when I first joined. I was good at what I did and put in considerably more work than other people who joined with me. Another huge motivation behind this was that since the initial pay wasn't good enough, I wanted to impress with my work and get a really good raise at the end of the year. So throughout the year, I kept working late hours. Stayed at the office for 10+ hours on a regular. The way our work dynamic was, I was the only one under my manager and we were both supposed to share the work on the projects. And slowly and steadily my manager started noticing I'm taking up extra stuff and he started offloading his work onto me too. Now I was essentially doing my own job and half of his job as well, and had reduced the time it took to do those things by at least 40%. I was stressed and overworked but was getting exceptional weekly ratings, so I felt it was worth it. How naive I was. Appraisal time came and I went into the one-on-one with my manager. This guy tells me that while I have one of the best performance ratings in the company, they're not allowed to give freshers a huge raise, and I received the same raise that others who joined with me did by doing the bare minimum. I was pissed. I told my manager that since the company has declared me average, that he should expect average performance from now on. He laughed there, thinking I was kidding. I wasn't. Next day onwards, every task that would be done in 2 hours now needs 8. Won't stay in the office for more than the agreed upon 8.5 hours. Won't finish up lunch quickly to get some more work done. Won't do any of your job for you. Oh, the client is asking for this document that I prepared in an hour? Sorry, an average person wouldn't do it in less than 4, so I'm going to keep it with me while I take the next 3 hours to figure out how to update the table of contents. It takes 3 clicks BTW. Single quote. Oh, there's something you need to ask after work hours? Sorry. It'll have to wait till tomorrow. Complaints started coming in quick about the delays in deliverables. Manager started spending a lot of time frustrated because he wasn't very good to begin with, and now I wasn't taking up his workload. I spent the entire year working 2 hours a day while I spent the rest of the time listening to music, browsing Reddit, and watching him struggle. Left at the end of the year for a job that paid 3 times the salary. Some details of our projects get published online, and last I checked this guy was running 7 to 8 months behind on some of the projects, and from what I heard from some of my friends in the company, didn't get any raise last year. I'm currently in the same position. Management said average. Okay, I don't answer my phone on days off and only do the tasks assigned. There's a great story online about a welder who saw an ad for a welding job that paid $18 to $28 per hour. When he applied for the job, they asked him to turn in an example of his welding. Well, he goes and turns in 2 examples instead of 1. The first is an ugly misshapen mess of a weld that, while technically held together, is utterly unsuitable for professional level work. The second example, on the other hand, is an absolutely beautiful, smooth, even seam, perfectly joining 2 pieces of metal with the minimum amount of flux necessary. The hiring manager, of course, asks him what the deal is with these 2 examples. He points to the misshapen weld and says, "That's an $18 weld." He then points to the beautiful weld and says, "That's a $28 weld." Moral of the story? As an employer, you get what you're willing to pay for. My psychologist told me years ago to never be the best in your workplace. It makes your coworkers dislike you and your supervisors, managers take advantage of you by delegating the work your slacker coworkers won't do. Then when you slow down, you're labeled as lazy and no longer wanted. Pace yourself with the pack. Excellent tactic. Treat and pay me as average and that's what you'll get. I was actually the lead heading up a new project. The dream child of our corporate vice CEO. I had a reputation for being able to fight through tough roadblocks and get things done. After 6 months it gets moved under one of our department directors, VPs, for oversight. Long story short, over the course of the year I built it from a great idea to a profit-making department of its own, having grown from just me to 32 personnel. Get called in for review with Mrs. Department Director. Great job. 2% raise. I sent an email my next shift to the sole supplier of the physical material we use, asking if they had any other companies interested in doing what I now had going for our company, as I was considering my options. All I got from them was a, "Let us get back to you," as I figured. My review came back from final review and approval. 4-digit bonus and a 29% pay raise. Had a situation like this at my last real job before going self-employed. Did tech support at a company that promised me they'd be creating a Tier 2 support position in the next few months and it would go to me once I was up to speed. Fast forward a year and a half and I'd earned the trust of all the dev teams and was doing lots of coding fixes that the regular support people couldn't do. That job never materialized, but they kept promising. My boss's office was right next to my cube. One day I overheard her talking to someone about how it would be at least 6 more months, if ever, that they officially promoted me because that place was a dumpster fire and they couldn't afford to take me off of low-level bullshit. Decided that day I was going full-time with a hobby I had that was making more monthly than my day job, and spent the next 2 months doing exactly my job description. Then I handed in my notice when my boss pulled me in to discuss my decreased performance and bad attitude with management that resulted from having 0 fucks to give. Work your wage. Me, to all my coworkers. Good for you. You learned quickly what took me decades. We are all replaceable, so show no loyalty. British Aerospace. Baez. Had a performance scheme where our salary varied between 80 to 120% of average for your grade, and you got pay rises depending on your annual appraisal and where your current salary sat between the 80 to 120%. I got promoted into my new grade and my salary sat at 80%. Fair enough. Then I got given a job that should have been done by another grade higher. My time to shine and I worked my socks off. It showed because I got graded A at my next appraisal. Grade A and sat at 80%? Woohoo. Here come the big bucks. Then I got my pay rise. About a 3% raise that everyone got, plus a 2% performance raise. Worked out yet just how long I would have to be working at AA grade before I got paid just at AC grade? 10 years? How long would I have to be performing at an A grade before I got paid an A grade salary? 20 years. Yes, I was pissed. So I went to my boss and told him I was not prepared to work at a grade above my grade at 82% grade salary. So give me a pay rise, a promotion, or move me to a new lower grade job. The answer was basically, I hear what you say, but my hands are tied. Whilst I was waiting for the answer, I went searching for a new job. So all I did in response was thank him for his assistance. Reached into my pocket and handed over a letter of resignation. My new job got me a pay rise of 50%. Edit. They tried to get me to withdraw my resignation. But I refused, telling them my resignation was a resignation, not a negotiating ploy. In case you have not realized it yet. Fuck you, British Aerospace. Baez. P.S. Fun fact. My boss had the dubious honor of dropping some Tornado aircraft fuel tanks on the end of the runway, almost wiping out a caravan site. I saw a great TikTok a while ago that said don't be the office superhero because managers will just milk it for all it's worth until you're burnt out. If you try to scale back your work, they will tell you you're not being a team player, etc., while saying that you're the best and they need you. I have truly taken that to heart. I never took days off, and if I was sick I would make it up to them by taking up an extra 5 shifts for them. I realized how much I fucked up when I was being severely bullied by clients, and even after complaining multiple times they just told me that that was just the way they were. I was there for almost 8 years and was suicidal by the time I left. I put in so much work for that company and they made me feel like they couldn't keep running without me while doing nothing to support me. I have taken it to heart and sent it to anyone who feels unappreciated and overworked. That TikTok literally changed my life. Sometimes the only way to get a pay rise is to work less. This is the tactic I used for the last 10 years of my previous job. I reasoned that a 4% cost of living increase with no corresponding pay rise effectively means I'll be doing the same job for less money. So I just did 4% less work to balance the books. The only problem with this was after a few years I was working less than 1 hour a day. It was great while it lasted. My biggest problem during the day was to make it look like I was doing something. I cannot understand why companies allow this. If a person is outperforming the rest of the team, they should be recognized for it. I once worked for a company that did something similar. When my boss did the annual review, they could not give a 100. They had to give us something to improve. It didn't matter that I could do the work faster than the teams of 2 to 3 people, or that my boss had me go do all the problem solving and testing how long things should take. Even our self-reviews, we had to have an area to improve on. The best way to get ahead long-term is the tit-for-tat strategy. Those that don't cooperate get left behind, and those that do cooperate receive increased benefits. Compared to solo play, exploitation, on the other hand, has by far the best short-term gain. The problem is you will eventually stagnate as you run out of people to exploit and you have to reset the board. If you have no way to carry over any gains to the new board, you have to start from zero again. The CEOs of this world can do this profitably. The middle managers of the world cannot. The exploitation route is also playing with fire. You will eventually get burned, and you are liable to get burned to ash if you aren't careful and smart enough when everything starts turning to smoke. The problem with most people is that they think they are smarter than they actually are, and/or think everyone else is dumber than they actually are. This is why they never truly get past middle management and crash and burn on the few times they do. Had a similar thing happen at a restaurant I worked at for years. I was the bar manager. A very good one at that. The owner decided that he didn't need the manager and knocked my pay down to the normal bartender rate. Then acted surprised when I stopped doing the managerial things. I still wish I had recorded that conversation. I'm happy to do the work you pay me to do. Also happy to not do the work you don't pay me to do. I had a similar situation. I worked IT at a title company where, for a while, there was a side project that basically allowed unlimited OT, dealing with digitization of old documents. I was single at the time, so instead of complaining about my crappy regular rate of pay, I just worked about 30 hours OT per week. In addition to that, during my regular work hours, our metrics showed that I literally did double the help tickets the next closest IT dude did and handled some side projects that needed doing. Suddenly, and for no reason given. The owner was a cheapskate and figured he could pay someone less to do it, I think. They cut off the OT. By then, I was about 2 months overdue for a yearly review and raise, and I asked for it and said I needed at least 10% or so because of all that I did. The loss of OT. And because I can't afford to live on the base hours alone. My boss replied, "Maybe you should get a roommate." I shot back, "Maybe I should find a new job." Within a week, I had an offer making almost twice as much and was out. I think I gave them like 4 days notice, and at my exit interview gave my reason for leaving as I could make more money with less stress delivering pizzas. The way this place is managed, it'll be out of business in a couple of years. Sure enough, I was right. Excellent work, my friend. He wanted average to protect his budgets. And he get average. Arrogance by bosses is a horrible thing. You did just what was required. The company I used to work for measured our performance with a needs improvement, successful, or overperforming grading scale. In 4 years I was always successful. Could and did the whole job above my pay grade. And the final year received overperforming. They denied a promotion 3 years in a row, stating each year that promotions don't happen for a single good year. Needless to say, I work elsewhere now. Is old saying, they pretend to pay us, we pretend to work. I learned a long time ago that companies don't give a shit about how good a job you do. So I stopped trying as well. My job is much less stressful now. Good on you for not putting up with their shit. OMG, I think boss posted this in IATA. Am I the a-hole foe? Check that out and see if it's the same.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.